Hey everyone, welcome to Pouring Takes. I'm Charlie Van.
And I am Rayya, coming to you guys courtside from Bryant Street Tavern here outside of downtown Dallas, one of our usual fun spots, but decided to switch up the location. It's Tuesday night here, so you know what that means, Charlie? It means volleyball and bocce ball. A league plays out here with a couple different teams, get together, have a couple drinks for Texas Tuesday to beat the Heat with half-off Texas drafts.
And speaking of some nice drinks and beating the Heat, what are you drinking tonight?
So we asked, in honor of the Dallas Mavericks, give us a shot. We got some celebrating to do, Charlie.
We
don't
do.
We?
I know. I can't believe it's been a week now. Almost a week.
It's been a week, but we had to, we had other stuff we had to get through. But here we are, finally able to fully celebrate and get excited for a big Thursday night because our Dallas Mavericks are in the NBA Finals. And let me tell you, the Maverick shot we're about to take looks like trouble. It kind of looks like the Blue Line drink in shot form.
Well, we don't know what's in it, which is good.
They just said, here's the Maverick, have some fun. So bless us and bless the Mavericks.
Here we go. That's because Luka took some big shots. Wow. That was strong.
Okay, so let's play a quick game before we jump into everything. What was in that thing?
That's a good guess. But do you think it? I don't know. It wasn't tequila.
It definitely was not tequila because I didn't throw up.
Was it? It had to be maybe a vodka.
Yeah, so I think it's actually Deep Eddy Lime that they used.
Okay.
You know that I used to shoot Deep Eddy Lime every day, all summer. What summer was that? Summer 2022.
21, 22.
Yeah, 21 and 22. You're right. So that's what I tasted. The blue, I think, comes from the blue curacao, and then maybe they put some soda in there. That would be my guess.
That was a good shot. I mean, it was a big shot, so I kind of took that.
They don't short pour us here.
No, they don't.
Absolutely not. We are well taken care of. So thank you again, Bryant Street Tavern, for the hospitality and allowing us to be here a couple times a month to do our thing.
Well, and a week ago, unfortunately we were able to record. Bad weather here, power outages. Glad that everybody is safe, has power back again. So we're glad to be back. Took a week off, even though there was so much exciting things going on in the sports world.
Exciting things in the sports world, but also in the world of Charlie. I just want to say, as your best friend, you have been through a hell of a battle. Congratulations on your next big move.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you.
And when she means battle, not fighting, but fighting to find opportunities. It's a tough job market, tough economy. So there's definitely been a lot of fun employment though these past 4 months.
Mostly because we have each other. But you could have quit. You could have done a lot of things differently, and you didn't. And I'm really proud of you for finding this opportunity, and you start soon. And
well, cheers to that.
Cheers, yes.
Yes, new opportunity, excited.
And I spilled all over myself.
And I can, start spending money on some more extra fun stuff.
Yep, we've got Ranger games, Wings games. We have all kinds of opportunities this summer to get a little crazy.
Exactly. But let's dive right in because, well, first, before we do, we want to say here as a podcast, our heart goes out to Larry Allen's family. Larry Allen, legendary offensive lineman for the Cowboys, Hall of Famer, passed away unexpectedly this past weekend on vacation. And it's just such a sad loss for
so tragic.
Not just the Dallas, sports community or Dallas Cowboys, but just in general. Anyone that knew Larry, I mean, I unfortunately couldn't say that I knew, but I saw him so much growing up and knew people that knew him. He was such a special guy. And just seeing the heartfelt messages from his, teammates, Troy, Emmett, huge loss.
Definitely. But okay, like you said, we have a lot to get into.
Yeah.
Let's start with this. Let's get the ick out of the way. The Dallas Stars ended up losing in the Western Conference Finals to the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games as of Sunday, which everyone who follows me on social media knows that wasn't my best day. Let's go with this. As of today, Joe Pavelski has announced his retirement from the NHL. Lots of contracts are up in the air for the Dallas Stars. Where do we go from here after back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances?
Yeah, and the Pavelski, you saw it in his eyes at the end of the game. And this is what we were kind of speculating. This is why we really wanted this year. I mean, because there are some guys on this team that it's questionable if they return, and he was one. And I believe he's contract-wise at the end of his contract anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I know Duchesne and Tanev have both expressed interest, but it's going to come down to money. I mean, there's going to be, that's the big thing, money. We luckily have some of these young guys for quite some time. Jamie Benn, I think this next season is his last out of his 8-year contract. I'm not sure about Sagan, but
I think Tyler Sagan signed a 10-year deal around the same time as Jamie Benn.
So he's got, like, what, 2 more years?
2 more seasons,
yeah.
correct.
So, yeah, but the defense has been the issue and what we bettered with bringing in Duchesne and especially Tanev. So those are guys you want, but can you pay them? That's going to be the question right there.
It's not necessarily about can you pay them to bring them back. I think what needs to happen is a restructure on the defensive side of the puck as well as on, like, special teams.
Yeah.
What I saw in the playoffs that was very, very alarming to me was struggles with defending the power play, struggles on fast break opportunities for the opposition. And then I kind of felt like towards the end there, Jake Ottinger just lost it.
Well, I'll say this. There's another struggle. Execute on the power plays. You're going 0-14 on power plays.
I mean, I did say special teams
Well,
in general, so you're not wrong.
But, I mean, it was just all around just a complete collapse. And it's weird because if you
don't even want to use that word, but that's exactly
what
it was.
Because if you look at Game 2 and especially Game 3, you're like, all right, this is ours. But
the fact that we outshot them in Game 6.
I know, and could not get, which is, hats off to Skinner. I mean, he really elevated, and the question for them, the Oilers coming into the series was goaltending. So he elevated. I mean, obviously they have Conor McGreggor, but this goes even back to that Game 4. He was in the penalty box half the time, and we could not capitalize. He's their best player. And that's the problem. I mean, I remember when we went up 2-0 in that Game 4, you could see the crowd like, get out, this is over. And then the moment Tanev left, it was just like a complete momentum shift. And I just say with that defense, and it shouldn't be because you still have Duchesne. Suter did not play his best series.
And Miro is supposed to be one of your best players, right?
Yeah. And that's been I'll say as being friends with the Knights fan, that's always been also the knock with DeBoer is when it comes to managing defense. Very great offensive, but like that was why you bring in guys like Tanev in that to at least help that.
So, the draft at the Sphere is coming up.
Yeah.
The Stars organization does a real beautiful job in the draft. I mean, you look at the last 4 drafts.
Yeah.
We've really been able to build a core through the draft, which, not a lot of teams can say, right? Dallas is a booming market for hockey. # Texas hockey.
It is. I mean, Stankoven. I mean,
a Maverick.
Yeah.
They gave Maverick playing time, too.
Yeah.
Like, all these guys are essentially playoff ready. But what I'm saying is, okay, let's look beyond the draft. Let's look beyond bringing back players. There's that saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But it is broken.
It is.
I love Duchesne. I loved having Tanev for the time we did. But I think you really got to go out there and pull all in and say, you know what? Top to bottom, this is one of the best teams in the league, hands down, and has been. But your Achilles heel is what's keeping you from the promised land. Now you got to fix that because you're not going to have Miro, Robo, Wyatt, like all these guys. They're going to get older. They're going to slow down. You got to execute right now.
I completely
throw Ottinger in the box. With that.
I completely agree, but I'm going to go another route. I don't know that you can have. I don't think you have the coach that can get you over the hump. 5 lost conference finals is not a record you want to have on your resume. It still comes down to coaching. It comes down to players, but you have 2 periods to adjust. Oilers adjusted. We got out-coached, too.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
And DeBoer, I think can get you to the conference, but can he get over the hump? Can he face adversity? Unlike, Bochy, who, you see he can get his team
back. And we saw Jason Kidd do it.
And we saw Jason Kidd, but I think DeBoer can get a team going. But you saw how emotional he was on Friday. Rightfully so, but it falls down on your sword. Your team should not be down 3-1.
I will tell you, as someone who got to watch Game 6 in a very heavy Stars crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, I only stayed for one period, but being at American Airlines Center, watching the away game, people were deflated in there.
Mm-hmm.
There was no energies. Like, I've been to watch parties at the AAC before. I went last year. I went twice last year. The crowd is always chanting something. People are in the moment. It didn't have the same feeling. Not only did the team look down and out, but so were the fans. And that's kind of painful.
Well, my fear at that game 5 just left such a bad that I was trying to be optimistic, but I mean, they look more lifeless than that. My thing is, this is arguably I'll put this team up against the one in 2020 because obviously there's a little bit of asterisk. We way exceeded, but you're the number 1 seed. You win this, you have home ice in Stanley Cup. You just beat the last 2 Stanley Cup champions. This is the best team we've had in a long time.
So do you think they just ran out of gas?
I don't think it's gas because I mean, if you look at Game 6, I mean, the shots on goal. I think
they played desperate.
Yeah,
they really
did. But I think their confidence got shooken in that Game 4. I think it's a mental thing. I think things have to go well for them, but that's where your coach has to come in and say, "It doesn't matter, boys. We're in it." I don't feel like the Oilers ever felt like they were ever out of it, even when they're down 2-1. I think that's the different mindset. And you have veterans on your team like Ben, Pavelski, Sagan. Also, you got to call them in question too because that says veterans that they got to step up and get these younger guys.
You think about last year when we were in the Western Conference Final against Vegas, right? Vegas was way better than us.
Yeah.
Light years better than us. And somehow we pushed them in overtime. What was it, 4 out of the 6 games?
Yeah.
Why did we do that? Because Jamie Benn was out there making statements on the ice. Jamie Benn was hitting people. Jamie Benn choked some guy with his stick.
Aggressiveness, intensity.
Whatever.
He was asshole Jamie Benn.
And we love asshole Jamie Benn. I didn't see asshole Jamie Benn.
No. And we were texting and saying we need that.
I saw a coy and adorable Jamie Benn, like the little Funko Pop that sits on my desk. Jamie Benn.
Yeah, and we were texting about that. It's like what we're seeing with Luka, which we'll get in a minute, is what we need out of Ben. And you need all of your veterans. I mean, you lead by example, and these younger guys, and you've been here. And I just think just mentally, everything has to go right, but that's not sports for you. And the real champions, they weather that adversity.
I will say one more thing, because I do agree with you that getting a new coach is the answer. But say Jim Neal looks at Pete DeBoer and says, you know what? We play well under you.
Third time's a charm.
Possibly. Good.
Yeah.
Use that.
Yeah.
What if we make a blockbuster trade instead? What if we take one of our core guys, and I don't want to do this. I love all of our guys, but I'm playing devil's advocate here because we have to look at it from all sides. We have to look at it like it's a business, right?
Mosquitoes.
Each one of these guys carries value.
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt carries a certain number. Robo carries a certain number. Ottinger carries a certain number, whatever it is. A lot of these teams would die to have one of our guys. If you can find the right trading partner to bring in that agitator, that aggressive defender, that guy who is going to put his body on the line to win a game, do you do it? I would.
If I was going to make a trade, a big trade, I'm not trading Wyatt. But I would trade because I think offensive force, I mean, you're going to need him. I mean, Ben and Sagan are right up there, right? But I
No. I'm telling you to trade one of your young bloods.
Well, Ottinger's a young blood. I would go goalie.
I was thinking the same thing.
And here's the thing, nothing against, but if you look at an Igor Skortson, and there might be a mental thing, and I still think Ottinger's a great goalie, but you can find other great goalies.
You can make a great goalie.
Yeah, and I think Ottinger, I'm going to call it now, he will be a championship goalie, but I think what's going to mesh with this right now, because obviously there's some guys on time blocks, and we just lost one, and Ben and Sagan, if they're still here, obviously they are in the interim, the short term, then they need it now.
I would do anything.
Because Ottinger's what, 25?
25, 27, something
like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got more time, but, I'm thinking, look at what Skinner did and the adjustments, and I just think Ottinger got overwhelmed. and we saw that last year.
I was going to say, yeah.
Although had a great playoff up until, but you can still find another goalie that's pretty solid.
Okay,
right
so
there.
we didn't prepare this, and the fact that you read my mind just goes to show that you are you're my everything.
Well, I mean, I think that's apparent, right? At the end of the day, I mean, if you're goaltending, I mean, you still need your defense, but you know, if we can have what we had with Dobby back in the COVID, which
right, I was gonna say this.
A veteran.
Yeah, you had a veteran, no-name guy take you all the way to the finals.
Dobby, you know what's crazy about Dobby, though, when I saw his stat? Entered the league in 1993 at 18. So not just no-name, but that's what you want, though. You want the veteran.
Wow.
Like, I think having a veteran like that, because there is still young. This is like the Rangers. Like, I think if you're losing Pavelski, which we are, may lose Suter, could.
I mean, losing Suter's not the biggest loss.
But having veterans with a bunch of young guys, then bringing you saw how Dobby was with that series, how like he took ownership of that team. He was the general. That's what I think would be great in that goalie, and like a lot of the goalies are like that.
Okay, so we're in agreement. We are okay with a move at the goal position, Dallas Stars. We are okay with you bringing in an agitator or a strong defensive player, not known for scoring goals, but known for fucking hitting people. And
I wish the enforcer was still around.
Yeah.
No, but I think we're in agreement here.
Yeah, and you know what? Again, we're not trying to bash our Stars. We ate, breathed it, and slept.
But you have to be realistic and honest.
Dallas Stars hockey over these last couple months. You and I have been going to games for years. This is one thing you and I know up and down. I didn't realize Flies liked beer so much.
Well, there's sugar in it, so they're like, yeah, this is sweet.
Sugar in my Deep Eddies, grapefruit, and soda too.
Well, and going back
Maybe it's the vodka.
And going back to DeBoer, like once again, I do think he's a good coach, but I would give him one more chance. But like, just making it to the conference alone is not enough.
You're gonna have a floater soon.
Man, I'm gonna have protein.
Ew. Anyway.
Carbs and protein right here.
Carbs.
Don't need a shake.
Carbs. You need some carbs for some volleyball?
What is this, Boston volleyball? You need some carbs?
I was doing a transition so we can start talking about the Mavericks.
Yeah, all right. Yes, let's move on to the Mavs. Stars broke our heart, but you know what, though? Still kudos to them making the conference championship 2 years in a row. Hopefully the adjustments, I don't think they have to make completely extreme, but hopefully enough to where we're in the cup.
Hey, in Jim Neal, I trust. He's the executive of the year for a reason. Yeah. But on to bigger, better, brighter, happier, more exciting things. Charlie Van, we're going to the NBA Finals.
Heck yeah. 13 years since our last appearance, which, by the way, what happened 13 years ago?
I believe. We won?
Yes, and it was hot as hell, too. It was our hottest summer record. Yes, we beat the Heat.
Say that one more time in the microphone, please.
We beat the Heat.
Thank you.
We beat the Heat. I can't beat these Flies, though.
Anyway, Flies are the least of our problems, and so is this Heat. The NBA Finals is set to start this Thursday evening. Mavs visiting the Celtics for what should be an amazing, amazing series that I don't think anybody saw coming. What do you think? No,
I mean, I think if you looked at a lot of the experts, I mean, I think there was like split, like, okay, maybe we make the conference, maybe. Like Colin Cowherd had us going up against Denver. But nobody had us going in the finals. Like, it's going to be Minnesota. It's going to be Denver. One of those two. Yep, and definitely. Rayya, this feels similar to 2011 to an extent.
It really does.
Now we were third seed, but it doesn't matter. Like, the run we had then was so tough.
Well, a lot of people drew comparisons to the way our series shook out, like the different playoff series. So our first series against... Oh my goodness! Who did we play? The Clippers. That was a callback.
That was like Portland Trailblazers.
It was a callback to not only the other two times we played them and lost in 6, but also very similar to the Portland Trailblazers. A lot of people didn't think we were going to beat them.
No, we had to take them in Game 7.
We did, and you know what? I think the energy from us beating LA finally was what really turned the key in the ignition for this team, because those guys, there was a couple guys who had lived through those moments outside of Luka that were like, why can't we get past this team? They've never been better than us. And they finally got the job done. Even though that team was loaded, by the way. You know, you look at James Harden and Paul George, Russell
Even
Westbrook.
an early finals predictor, like back in February, I think a lot of people look at the Clippers as a potential contender.
Yeah, because that's the way that team was built. That team, quote unquote, went all in. They did everything they could possibly do to say, you know what, we are better than what we've been in the past. And guess what? Mavs shut them down. So you beat the Clippers. Then you go face Oklahoma City. And everyone's like, oh, my gosh, Oklahoma City's so young, but they're so talented. SGA should have been MVP, blah, blah, blah. Nobody thought we'd beat them, right? Just like when we played them the first time in 2011, we actually had to go up against Oklahoma City, and we ended up sweeping Oklahoma. No, that was the final.
No, we went to
swept
Game
LA.
6. Yeah, we swept, which was even crazier because as Kobe Bryant, that was a stacked LA team to sweep.
All of that
LA.
to say, my point is nobody thought we'd get back past OKC. They thought if the Clippers had advanced, the Clippers would have beaten OKC. But it was us, and they were like, well, OKC's probably better than y'all. No, they're not. They're young, dumb, and we broke them. We broke them, right? Then, then you got Minnesota. Minnesota, who is coming off a grueling 7-game series against Denver Nuggets, the team that probably should have won the West, in my opinion, behind Jokic, who reminds me of Gru from Despicable Me.
and Jamal,
Jamal Murray, who's an absolute stud and a star, and I'm obsessed with him. Knock him out of the playoffs and end up having to see us, right? So now you got this matchup. You're like, all right, Minnesota just took out the best team in the West because they have a bigger lineup. Dallas isn't quite known for having a big lineup, but they do have a big lineup. In fact, not only do they have a big lineup, they have a faster lineup.
Yeah.
Not sure how this is going to go, but a lot of people lean more towards Minnesota, given Rudy Gobert in the paint, thinking that they'd be able to he would stop Luka. Anthony Edwards, who apparently has Michael Jordan DNA in him. That's a discussion for another day.
And Carl
Anthony Towns, the man who said he is the best big man to ever play the game.
And McDaniels too is like they're veteran. They're silent. Yeah.
They're silent assassins.
But they reminded me of the Thunder of 2011. Which was a younger team, that everyone thought this is the hot shot.
And they were.
And they were.
They very much were.
Yeah.
They did the best they could. Most of these games, except for Game 6, were very, very tight and nail-biting. While Charlie and I were working for KO Live, for Triple FL, commentating fights, guess what? We had our phones on. We had to know how these games ended, that was the kind of energy. We were on the edge of our seat no matter what. And guess what? We came out on top.
Oh, man, that's probably the shot of the year by Luka, that last-minute three-pointer right there. I mean,
the one from Saturday?
No. Yes, Friday night. Friday night, yeah. I mean, that was, buzzer beater.
That's right.
Only people out of this world can make those shots, and Luka did it. And, what a credible series he's had.
Luka did something that shouldn't be surprising to people. Luka put this team on his back. He's looked at every Minnesota Timberwolves player and said, I am effing better than you. That is the energy we need in our day-to-day life. We have to look at everything we do in our lives and be like, I am fucking better than this, and just tackle it. And that's what he did. Why are you shooting logo threes randomly in a game? Because you're Luka fucking Doncic, that's why.
Well, we weren't surprised, but haters who are like, he's not this, he's not that, he's not clutch. Well, that series against Minnesota showed that he's clutch. And to go up 3-0, is in any series, especially I feel like in basketball like that, minus what Celtics and Pacers, it's not easy to do, especially against a team like Minnesota.
A healthy team.
A healthy team, yeah.
I was going to say, the difference between Boston.
Pacers were hurt. Yeah,
the two best players on the Pacers were injured.
And that first game was very shaky for the Celtics.
But all of that to say is you got to see what we like to call asshole Luka do his thing. And we had a great time.
This is where emotion, because he gets discredited because of his emotion, but I'm gonna name you three other players real quick that get emotional. Michael Jordan.
Yes.
maybe not with the rest, but he makes up fake arguments to go after you. Kobe Bryant.
I was going to say, that's the first one that came into my head.
And
was
then
Kobe.
the other one, Luka's other good friend, longtime friend, LeBron James. And as long as you channel emotion in the right and turn it into intensity, and not,
LeBron's a bitch.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Emotional, and he's a three-time champion.
I feel like you were waiting for it.
But you see what I'm...
Shut up!
But you know what I'm saying. I think the emotion, he gets emotional, but he's winning. It's his fuel. It's how he has to... He needs that. We see it in fighting, like the Diaz brother. Like a lot of certain fighters, they need to have that emotion, so it brings out the best. And that's how Luka is. Now, referees aside, I don't give a shit about that as long as you're winning and you're executing. And that's exactly what he did in that series with Minnesota. He turned, even from the fans. I think he even jawed with Snoop Dogg.
He did, and it was iconic. And Snoop Dogg loved every second of it. I think. You ever see Mean Girls where they're like, one time Regina George punched me in the face and was like, oh, do it again? Essentially, if Luka came up to me and said, you are the fucking worst, you can't fucking guard me, get the fuck out of my face, I'd be like, do it again. Do it again one more time.
I mean, he just...
I didn't want to do it, but I thought it.
The level that this man is playing on, and only, 25 years old, is incredible. Not that half of that's surprising, but... We're getting what we paid for. We're getting why this guy's such a generational player, and it's so exciting. It's so special. And when Kyrie's like, I've never seen anything like this in my life, which makes Kyrie extra happy, which he's the silent guy,
I wouldn't call Kyrie silent one bit.
No. Here's what I'll say. He's silent in the sense he doesn't have to jaw. He ain't going to get in the fans' face now. Now, I think that comes with, now he's more, maybe that maturity. I'm saying right now in this role. He's not silent by his actions, but he doesn't have to do what Luka's doing. And I think they're the best yin-yang.
For sure. So let's get into it. We'll put the Western Conference stuff behind us.
Everywhere.
Let's move on. We got Boston in front of us, and you and I have talked about this numerous times over the last week. The storylines, the NBA might as well have scripted this matchup with the way the storylines are shaking out. Anything from, Kyrie's return to Boston, KP's return to Dallas, the fact that Luka and Jason Tatum have been compared their entire lives, Al Horford being one of the most longtime active players without a ring. There's a lot of things that go into building a beautiful championship series. And I think this one checks all the boxes. And not to mention, from a PR marketing standpoint, two of the biggest demos in the country are going to be on display. Dallas is a huge market. Boston is a huge market. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this series. And then the other thing that cracked me up was just, scrolling through Instagram, there was a meme about how all of the other teams in the NBA are going to be rooting for the Mavericks because nobody likes the Celtics.
Yeah, I think when you look at the storyline here, you look at the Celtics, a team that is already given the crown before they've earned it, right? Mid-season. Maybe beginning of the season. They
didn't win the in-season tournament, Charlie.
It doesn't matter. Well, tell me how that worked out for the Lakers.
It worked out for the Pacers, kind of.
Yeah, but
Pacers were exactly where they were supposed to be.
But the Celtics have been and I think, too, people look at the Celtics, they're that desperate team. They've come up short when they needed to be there, but they almost...
Don't you hate when men come up short?
No comments. But the Mavs come up big.
That's what she said.
But I think there's already been this entitlement by the media, or this automatic crowning, they're your champions, and it's we're not even in the playoffs yet. Okay, now we're I felt like they had the easiest path. Look at the West.
No, the West is rambunctious as fuck. You think about. We talked about what it took for the Mavs to get where they are. Let's peek at Boston. I don't even know who they beat in the opening round. I know they had to play Cleveland and then the Pacers. I have no idea who was that first round matchup. Do you?
Yeah, they beat Cleveland in the second. First round wasn't.
We don't know.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. We don't know. They swept that first series.
Yeah,
right?
It was real quick.
And then they beat Cleveland 4-1.
And
then they get the Pacers, which probably could have gone 6 or 7, but between Halliburton, I forgot who the other one was, getting hurt, that was pretty much a done deal, right? And, that series would have totally gone different probably if the Pacers had come out on top in Game 1. We don't know. We'll never know. But, Boston got to, scurry through a little meadow to get to us. We had to go through trenches and volcanoes and thunderstorms to get to where we are. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Boston looks like when they're actually tested.
Can I make a Cowboys connection or an NFL connection? It's kind of like the Eagles a couple years ago.
Yeah.
You obviously you get the bye, but you get the Giants, and then you get a hurt Niners team with no quarterback to get, and then see what happened when you have a team that went the harder route. And I mean, look, Celtics are talented for sure.
Yeah, not taking away from that for sure.
But they got the experience. No, Kyrie has the experience. He has a ring. Minus who are on the Celtics? What's it? Starts with a D. Sorry.
Derek White.
Yeah.
Does he have a ring?
He has a ring. Yeah.
I had no idea Derek White had a ring.
Well, there you go. But is he Kyrie? No. And Kyrie has 4 final appearances. That's what I know. And
see, I told you we were going to get hit with the ball.
No, that's okay. It's part of it.
You're fine.
We love the action.
I like it when balls fly at my face.
All right. There's no cut to that. But
I'm a menace.
I feel like we really earned our spot here. We went through the fire, and that's why I think this series is going to be so extra spicy. And I'm interested to see what they're made of when they haven't had to go through that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really hard for me to sit back and listen to the media tell me Celtics in 6. It really is. And I'm not trying to be a homer. I just, in these last couple of years, you go from making the Western Conference Finals to not making the playoffs, and then going back to the Western Conference Finals and winning. How does that not show the progression of the mettle of a team? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you have a coach and kid who's been there too. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe as a player, it doesn't matter. That experience doesn't leave you, and he's made the adjustments. And he, like we said, in times of adversity, and Luka really, and when you look at Luka, you look at any of the series, he really hasn't had a bad playoff game. Per se, I mean, not many.
Statistically, there were a couple in there, but that's okay. He for the first time in his position can have a statistically awful game, and there's people around him that can pick up the slack. You think about how many games that Kyrie had to step up in the 3rd and 4th quarter to clean it up and say, you know what, Luka, I got this. He's never had that before. You think about Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively in the paint. We're a rebounding team. We weren't a rebounding team in February, were we? No.
That trade was an all-in trade, and that changed the tide. That really changed the tide. And that's one thing I'm interested to see what the Celtics have an answer for with
exactly.
the Gafford.
I was going to say, this is the thing. We saw what it means to not just have big men, but young and fast big men. Nothing is getting past our quote-unquote twin towers. It's not. The only way you're beating us is if you go 50 to 60% from 3. That's it.
Here's another name we haven't mentioned who's had a pretty good playoff, I feel. Derek Jones.
Defensive lockdown. You know who I compared him to? I was talking to some people, and I said Derek Jones Jr. is Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
Just without the not Lance Stevenson, sorry. Was that his name?
Deshaun Stevenson.
Deshaun Stevenson.
Yes, he is.
Lance Stevenson, I was thinking.
And those moves were the one that turned, and then Lively is, he's our Tyson Chandler, right? Who's his mentor.
Yeah.
That's his mentor. They're working together, and Lively's having a Wyatt Johnson type rookie year. I mean, and that guy he is fearless, and he's had pretty much a flawless, run, especially from shooting. And that's the thing. I think the tools are there. They're acting like Celtics are deep, and they are, but it's not like the Mavs don't have a bunch of weapons either.
No, we'll see. We'll see how Game 1 goes.
Yeah.
Win or lose, I think the Mavs are going to put up a really good fight in that first game. And I wouldn't be, surprised if we lost Game 1.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to be tight.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I feel like Jason Kidd is going to make really good adjustments. I think Jason Kidd's going to be able to read them up and down. They're kind of predictable, to be perfectly honest. There's enough tape out there to, like, be able to put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I really trust that coaching staff, not just Jason Kidd, but there's a couple other awesome guys on that team that can really, like, I mean, literally, you saw what the adjustments were in our run, right? So I don't doubt coaching at all. I think coaching is our X factor, and I think that's what's going to carry us to a potential finals win. And you hear it right now, Mavs in 6, not Celtics.
Well,
Mavs.
Celtics technically consider not the strongest at home, and we're a pretty good away team. So if we could get that win,
doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, we can get that first win, just like Minnesota.
Team.
I'm not saying this to agree. I believe Mavs in 6 as well. I think that their Celtics are heat. I really do. I remember this same dialogue. Hey, Shaq called it the beginning of the season.
He did. I actually saw that.
And everything
video.
he said is Nostradamus, Shaq.
Oh, Lord.
Shaq Nostradamus.
Cleo, Miss Cleo.
And look, it should be a fun, entertaining season, regardless of what happens.
Series. It's already been a fun, entertaining season.
It has. Well, the last half of it was, and I think here's the thing: no matter what, this ceiling is super high, and to come back after 13 years, I mean, kudos to like Jason Kidd, kudos to this whole team, and we have another chance here in Dallas to bring back a chip, and kind of reminds me of 2011. I mean, you had the Rangers, and the Rangers could, if they get healthy, you never know this season. So,
well, we will see again. Those games start this Thursday night on ABC, and we'll be watching. And like I said, like we did with the Stars and the other Mavs series, we'll be doing live reactions on our TikToks and Instagram Reels, even if we're caught in the rain in a tsunami.
That will be our real pouring takes.
Hey yo, drink. I need
you don't
more
even have
drinks.
your drink anymore.
I know, I'm done.
Yeah, no drinking for you.
Is Zach behind me? Oh my gosh.
I'll do another one too.
Yeah, let's do another.
Oh, by the way, I'm drinking Dallas Blonde. I was just gonna say, you know.
Zach, one more thing. Can we do another round of those blue shots?
Another Maverick shot for the shots, and yeah, having Dallas Blonde here, you know, I was gonna say unfortunate news about Deep Ellum Brewing, but they will still be selling product out there, so you can still enjoy a refreshing Dallas Blonde in this heat.
Speaking of things that are played in the heat, let's talk a little baseball.
All right.
So, only because I read your notes, Texas Rangers still in second place behind the Seattle Mariners. I saw Houston has kind of gotten their ish together. I think they're 2.5 games behind us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have some guys coming back from injury. We've had a couple good wins in the last 2 weeks. How are you feeling? I mean, we're about a month out of All-Star, which we still need to get tickets for, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the health, you know, getting the health. They had a couple of, you know, shutout games Sunday and Monday over Miami, which is huge. I mean, that's just such a big moral victory. I read that I think Scherzer he's getting close, you know, and we really need him in that pitching lineup, in that rotation. I think once they get healthy, I mean, you got Langford back. You saw how quickly. I think Evan is still doing therapy. I think his timeline, hopefully soon. Once you get the band back together, I feel really good. I mean, hey, we're still in second. We're not slipping far. We're actually closing in, I feel, right there. So it can be anybody's division. I think when this team is healthy, it is our division.
Yeah, it's like a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
You don't want to be leading the entire time. Stay in the middle of the pack. Wait for the opportune moment to make your move.
Well, and here's the thing.
I was about to quote Talladega Nights because
that would be if you ain't first, you're last. And then we realized in that movie, he's like, that was all wrong. You could be third place.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not about it's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And we learned you can be a wild card team and still win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, and Bochy I trust, and also it's really this after the All-Stars where we really see and I feel like we got kind of spoiled last year because they did come out guns blazing. You know, we really only had like one injury at the time.
But you also remember how anxious that made us.
Yeah, well, because
when you have nice things, you're afraid they're going to be taken away from you.
That's why I don't have nice things.
Same.
No, I feel confident. As long as we're holding court right now on the spot, I'm good with it. A lot of baseball to be played.
All right. Anything else in the sports world we were going to talk about? Oh, yeah. UFC things. Hold up. Okay, so if you saw our social media, you know that
flies over here.
You know that we watched UFC 302 together this past Saturday, and boy, did we have a good time.
It was
Vintage
fun.
Charlie and Rayya.
Shout out to Maple Landing, always great hospitality over there. It was chilled in the sense environment. It was really cool.
And then we were menaces.
Yeah, well, because when you're passionate fight fans and you know someone on the card as well, you're gonna get a little spicy. You're gonna, especially I do. They can't hear me.
Friends.
You are, yeah.
We did. Oh my gosh, I think we started talking about our friends fighting in depth. Whether it was Alex Moreno, Kevin Holland, we were like, oh yeah, this is happening. This is why this happened. And we had a couple people come up to us and be like, "Can we watch these fights with you?
Yeah.
Can we be friends with you?" We ended up exchanging Instagrams. It was a fun evening.
Yeah, no, it was. It was a decent night of fights. I mean, I would say the main event was the biggest between Poirier and Islam Makhachev. I mean, that was fight of the night, and rightfully so.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was a banger. Up until it ended, and it was like, toughest fight for Islam Makhachev. I think outside of probably Volk 1, that was probably the closest.
We said it that night. Had Dustin Poirier been able to avoid the takedowns in that 5th round, that would have got a decision, and we didn't know which way it was going to swing.
Because of his boxing. That's the thing. Dustin Sut has become, I've been watching him since WEC. I mean, really, and his boxing's become so crisp. And he's big, too, at 155. And, I mean, he cut Islam, and it was such a scrap. And Dustin, it only takes one. We saw that with Benoit Saint Denis, who was, in March. So, that was such a fun fight.
So let me ask you this. Joe Rogan interviewed him after the fight in the octagon, asked him if it was his last fight.
Yeah.
He wasn't sure. What do you think?
No, it's not. I don't think he has a lot more fights left, but I think, he looked good. It was, I know moral victories aren't always a thing, but he looked good, and he didn't get injured. And, I mean, yeah, maybe that might be the end for 155, but fight fans want to see good fights, and there's some super fights. I wouldn't mind him and Max Holloway running it back for the BMF belt. They had a great second fight. There's some fights, and you can't tell me, that there's not somebody at 170 and 150 that won't excite him. There's a couple. He doesn't like Colby Covington. That could be. I felt like if he would have got dominated in the first or second, then maybe. But that was such a close fight. I would at least one more. I want to see Dustin. Maybe it's just because I'm a huge Dustin fan, but what I saw was a guy that could still hang with anybody.
I'm also a big-time Dustin fan as well. I've been watching Dustin for years, just as you have. I've met him. He's a very splendid man, and so is his wife, Jolene.
Yeah.
I fucking love them. I would be okay with a rematch. I would love to see them run this one back. Say Islam goes up against whomever else in the next time, and then he wins again and has another title defense. I don't see why not. Dustin Poirier. It makes a lot of money. People love Dustin. People love the USA versus, Russia rivalry, if you want to call it that.
Well, he also, can beat almost everybody else. That's the thing at 155, because they don't have that striking that he has. Because it's more grappler-wrestler heavy. And he didn't go for a guillotine, though, this time. That was the one thing. They're like, don't go for a guillotine. But I know he's, 35, and I've heard some takes of, go out,
I have an idea. So, while he's waiting for Islam to decide if he wants to do a rematch with Dustin, which, could be 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever it is, there's the 303 card. Which we have now learned.
You spoke my mind. Him and Chandler rematch.
Why did you do that?
Well, I was thinking about today.
Why didn't you just let me build it up? Let me build it.
Build it up. I'm sorry.
There is this UFC 303 card, which we have now learned is in jeopardy. Originally, you have Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor as your main event. There was supposed to be a press conference yesterday.
In Ireland.
Was it yesterday?
Yes.
Yes, yesterday. Conor McGregor's team allegedly was the one that called it off. Not saying I'm a hater, but I feel like I already said that I don't feel like this fight is happening. But if you look at Michael Chandler's style and Dustin Poirier's style, very similar. Could be an absolute banger. Maybe not enough to save 303, but a potential high payday for both fighters.
Well, they've already fought before. They fought in 2022 with Dustin submitting.
Yes, I
but
remember.
it was a fight of the night, and I would take that as a main event, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got Dustin Poirier on kind of a hot streak when it comes to like fan engagement, all that stuff. Michael Chandler's been kind of waiting in the wings forever for Conor McGregor to get his shit together, which, again, I don't think is happening. So if you need a last-second replacement, why not Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, well, and I was thinking that because I don't think other than a black eye, I don't think he got hurt. And Charles originally, it sounded like he was going to be the backup if something happened. You know, Charles beat Chandler for the title in May of 2021, and I don't know that's enticing to the most general public. And like you said, Dustin is a fan favorite. Also, we have Goldfish Syndrome. He just fought. Great fight. And I think
it's so unfair because Charles Oliveira is one of the most dynamic,
really
fun
good
fighters to watch.
But if you watch 300 and you see him in the grappling, you're just like making judgments you don't know about, right? And I think, you know, that is a firefight. According to Chael Sonnen, he thinks the fight is going to happen, and maybe Conor's like blocking out all this. But
DC says it's not happening.
Well, I'll take you back just real quick. UFC 200, Conor skipped the press, and they called off the fight, you know, with Nate Diaz, and they rescheduled it for August of 2016. You know, Dana's very big about press conferences because this was a sold-out crowd in Ireland. Now, it wasn't no money involved, but still, you had to reserve a ticket, and that rarely happens with fighters. And, you know, only Conor can really bring that spectacle. So they did call it off. Now, Conor said it was out of my control, whatever that means, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
No, nothing Conor McGregor has done in the last 5 years has looked good. Okay?
What, you're saying Roadhouse? No, I'm joking.
I'm saying Roadhouse. I'm saying his fight against Dustin Poirier. I'm saying any of those sparring videos where he looks like he's been fucking juicing. Any media reports where he's been absolutely a menace at a bar and not in the fun way that you and I are. Like, he is a problem. He doesn't deserve this spotlight. The UFC has been just using his name. The contract's not even been signed, Charlie.
Here's the thing, though. I'll play devil's advocate here. I agree, he's crazy. But he's brought more eyes to this.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
But here's the thing. I think Conor is serious. I do think he is serious. But
seriously annoying.
My question is, the leg break that he had, it is hard to come back. Watch Chris Weidman. They broke that same leg break the same year in 2021. And it took up until March this year that Weidman even looked even decent. But decent is not going to beat Michael Chandler. And the one thing that's known about, that's great about Conor McGregor and his style is he goes backward and catches you just like Jose Aldo, which is why this fight is perfect for his style because Chandler just like goes berserker. But if he can't do that, and if he's not 100%, we know light sparring compared to like being 100%. Why even risk it? Now it sucks for everyone out there watching, but
then why
I wonder
even say you're going to do it?
Because fighters always do that.
Sign the contract. I'll believe it. Sign the contract. Put some legalities behind it. Hold yourself fucking accountable.
Well, they have the contract signed.
No, they don't.
Who says?
DC and Chael say.
They say everything.
Look,
they would not have a pay-per-view without them signing the
contract.
Yes,
they would.
No. You got to sign the contract.
Look, there's a lot of competition in the sports and entertainment world. They were thirsty for some sort of action, right? Yes, they were. They didn't need Conor McGregor to come in and fuck everything up.
They forced this fight.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't think it's just because 300. I'm going to tell you about that. That was awesome. And
great.
I don't think you necessarily had to have this fight, but you promoted a whole reality show and Tough behind it, and you bought stock early.
Yes, again, you did. But you didn't sign the damn contract.
Well, I think it was signed.
Conor McGregor is not being held accountable to be a fucking professional athlete. Conor McGregor is a fucking fanboy himself, running around the the entire world on a fucking yacht, living his best life. That leg ain't rehabbed. It's not. Because you know what? He's been doing fucking cocaine, drinking himself to death, and riding around in a yacht. He doesn't give a shit about fighting. You know this. I know this. This fight ain't happening.
Here's my rebuttal. I'm going to say this fight does happen. Why? Because the UFC needs to happen.
Are they bending? Are they bending
That is
rules?
a shock time. They have to. If this fight doesn't happen, you screwed all that whole card, and that's a whole lot of fucking lost money.
It is screwed. It's big
But
screwed.
I think this fight happens. I think this fight, Daddy Chell says it's happening.
Daddy Chill.
He says it's either happening or Conor's retiring. So if you think, if based on their word, they didn't sign the contract, and if Chell knows things we don't know, then it's happening. I do think something is odd and something's up, and maybe it is what Chell thinks it is. And
What are they going to wait for? Mexican Independence
That he doesn't
Day?
want to do any press. That he doesn't want to do any press.
They need him to do press. That's the whole reason they bring him
But
in.
Conor doesn't have to. He could just walk in a room.
No.
Yes, he can.
No.
Yes, he can.
No, they need
Conor.
the views. They need the
They will get the
they
views.
need
There's
the reels.
already bars promoting it and already doing VIP
but they
tickets.
need the eyeballs. They need the.
They're gonna get the eyeballs. It's Conor McGregor. Name how many people care about UFC outside of Conor McGregor. If you go on a general public and just people who
you're
aren't.
right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Conor
But
just
what
need,
I'm
you just
trying
be
to
like
tell you
a
is the
poster.
UFC needs him. They need those sound bites. They need those moments.
He already does it on the camera now. You don't need a press conference for this world. I mean,
Yes,
we
you
know
do.
it.
Yes, we do.
No.
He needs no. The UFC only brought him in for eyes. They don't give a fuck if he wins this fight or not. They just need the attention. They need the moment.
But I
they
don't.
need the
I don't-
said,
I don't
your
think-
word, spectacle.
They need the event to happen with him fighting.
They need everything
Because that
builds
is
it
a
up to.
bigger loss than the press conference. Because
Absolutely.
of
You're not wrong about that, but I'm saying it all is a package deal. If Conor is ducking the press, which he shouldn't because he's so comfortable in front of the press, it's sus as fuck. It's like if you have a boyfriend who normally is around and all of a sudden starts pulling away
you just
from
want to
certain
see him
events.
throwing water bottles.
No, yeah, I do. I want to see him bust a bus, but I'm telling you, when someone backs out of the spotlight when they're normally in the spotlight, that's sus. That is strange.
It's not the first time, and they've gone with fights. Here's where I don't care about the press conference as much is because I don't think Chandler completely is the dance partner verbally. That I mean, if you go back to the Cowboy Cerrone, that was a boring press conference because there was too much mutual respect. The second Dustin fight, too much.
Chandler doesn't respect Conor. Come on.
But he can't hang with them out there. Like Nate Diaz.
That's
was
fine.
But that's not anything that has that high equity
Doesn't
as much.
matter. They
Yeah.
want the sound bites. They want Conor to say something
I think this fight
outlandish.
happens.
And Michael Chandler goes, I don't know how
Breaking
to
news,
respond
this
to
fight's
that.
happening.
It's not happening.
It's
Absolutely
happening.
Not. Absolutely not.
It is. She has to take a tequila shot.
Fine. Fine. I will do a tequila shot if this fight happens.
It is happening.
It's not going to happen.
Unless there's something that is, like, physically wrong with
We're going to find out that Conor McGregor is pregnant.
That could be a first. I mean, maybe paternity leave? I don't know.
Anyway, getting away from the hot mess car wreck that Conor McGregor is, there was another fight that was the co-main on that card, and it was the worst fucking fight that it could possibly be. We talked about what happens to the middleweight division, and Sean Strickland has now beaten Paulo Costa. You know, we talked about Izzy being next for Drace Duplass. We talked about Robert Whittaker having another fight coming up. What is your take at the 185 division?
Well, I don't think Sean deserves a title shot right away. Here's what I would do. Well, one, Costa was coming off a loss as well, so I don't like when you beat someone coming off a loss. That makes no sense. We don't know. Obviously, it's probably going to be Dracus, the champion, versus Izzy. We just know that's going to happen. We don't know when. With that, in the next 2 weeks, we get Whittaker, Hazmat. You know, great fight. We'll see what happens. I say have Sean versus the winner of that later this year, if possible, or early next year, and then that. But I don't think there's a clear-cut contender right now, 185. You know, it's that performance was not enough to be like, oh, yeah, you can rematch Dracus, or even though, you know, people thought Sean won that fight against Dracus. But, no, 185 is a little boring right now to me.
I mean, there's a lot of dominoes that need to fall, but I
Yeah.
just decided, you know, it was a co-main event, just call it out. One more shout out from this fight, and then I'm going to let it go. Kevin Holland breaking an arm. Never thought I would see the day that Kevin Holland would win in such a dominating fashion via submission. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a black belt, man, looter here in Fort Worth. There was controversy of, like, I guess he didn't tap it. You don't have to. I'll never forget, just real quick, I told you this at the nastiest arm break I saw was Tim Sylvia and Frank Mir. Frank Mir got the arm, and Herb Dean's like, oh, shit, because you can literally see the arm break. And you know, through adrenaline, Tim, you know, he's like, what's going on? But when you look at the replays, like, yeah, arm break, it's over. Like, they don't play with that.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I want to point out is in his post-fight interview, he said, I'm the best gatekeeper you have ever seen.
He is entertaining.
Is that all Kevin Holland's going to be?
I hope not. I mean, that's not your goal, but I think he has fun. I mean, but, you know, as you've watched him, he has that roller coaster ebbs and flows of styles of opponents. He is fun to watch regardless, but I hope, you know, he's still young enough. Like, I hope the idea is the eye on the prize. I mean, you're in this no matter what your position is to be the champion, you know. So, but I think that was just Kevin Holland being Kevin Holland. I mean,
he's a pretty damn good gatekeeper.
I mean, hey, he puts on fun fights, you know, but if he puts a streak together, a title, you never know.
You never know. All right, Charlie, one last thing before we get out of here. We got reality TV, summer reality TV about to kick off for us. We got Perfect Match launching on the 7th on Netflix. I believe they're also going to do 4 episode at a time drops.
Yeah.
We'll be covering that. You've had a chance to look at the cast lists. Is there anybody from the upcoming cast that really just stands out to you that you should tell everybody, hey, watch this person. They're going to be entertaining?
Man,
so sweaty.
Trevor is going to be interesting because you're coming off of being public humility, you know, all your business being out there. I like to see how people can rebound, especially when other cast members, because if you watch
to be fair, it was filmed before his shit was aired.
It was, but how did we not know that the producers don't already, like, kind of push this information?
Fair.
And just who he is. I mean, maybe him. I have to go back and honestly relook at the cast, like.
Okay, well, I got one for you.
Okay.
So
you've been more invested in it.
Yes. So last season.
I will watch.
Last season's Perfect Match winner was Dom. Dom originally came from the Circle. Dom won the game with Georgina. Turns out their showmance was just as fake as reality TV. Georgina went on to date somebody else from the show right after it all ended, leaving Dom alone and heartbroken and completely blindsided. I'm going to see how Dom navigates season 2 after winning season 1. He's definitely a fan favorite. He's got really great vibes, very outgoing. He's adorable. He paints his nails. He's very, he's very Gen Z. Yeah. What can I say? I like him a lot. I'm also curious to see how Jessica and Harry Jowsey's romance develops, because we do know that they did date for a few months after filming Perfect Match 2, so it's going to be fun to see how they meet, how they connect, and possibly see why they ended up breaking up.
All the summer drama, and real quick, the only reason why I'm wearing if you can tell, this Star Wars Beatles-inspired Abbey Road shirt is because dropping tonight, I thought it was going to drop earlier, so I was going to do a quick review, but Star Wars The Acolyte drops on Disney Plus, 2 episodes, so I think this takes place 100 years before the prequels. I don't know. We'll watch. Some of the Star Wars shows have been a hit or miss, but I'm still going to watch because I am that guy.
I'm going to leave that one to you.
Yes.
Because I'm not a Star Wars girly. Sorry, guys.
Star Trek over here. No,
I'm neither.
She doesn't like space.
I mean, if you want a review of the Sydney Sweeney and Glenn, whatever his name is, movie, Anyone But You on Netflix, I can totally do that. But I don't think this is the right audience.
But you like Space Jam.
I do.
Yeah,
the original only.
There you go. Yeah, I know. We won't even talk about that second one. Anyways, mention of LeBron.
Okay, so once again, thank you, Bryan Street Tavern, for having us again Tuesday nights. Texas Tuesday. Half off all Texas drafts. Need a place to watch the NBA Finals Thursday night? $2 wells here at Bryan Street Tavern. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, guys. See you next time.